The strongest apocalypse zombie horde is coming fiercely this year. All survivors, please prepare for battle. I am a junior researcher at the Ocean Observation Station in State A, currently experiencing a global pandemic of apocalyptic proportions caused by a virus. Before the doomsday broke out, I followed my mentor's final instructions. A fully equipped defensive structure has been constructed at the farm in the remote mountains, and a large amount of supplies have been stored in the cave at the back of the farm. However, on the eve of me completing my doomsday preparations, the zombie virus broke out globally without warning. The bustling city instantly turns into a living hell for the survivors as it is overrun by zombies. A relentless zombie horde is searching for fresh flesh everywhere. Before long, they trace the location of the farm based on the workers' blood trail. A horde of zombies is now swarming towards my doomsday shelter. In the bright moonlight, their bodies look especially twisted and grotesque. They swarm towards the outer wall, where the dense rows of iron spikes turned the first wave of zombies into kebabs. These zombies are being crushed by their companions behind them, nailed tightly to the wall and unable to move, only able to howl in despair. At the same time, the traps that father had buried under the wall's feet were triggered one after another, causing a large number of zombies to have their legs severed by the traps. They struggle to crawl forward, dragging their broken bodies through the muddy ground. Right now, outside the perimeter wall is already a river of blood, with broken branches mixed with decaying blood, forming a black river, like hell on earth. My father and I suppressed our nausea and immediately contacted the rear through the walkie-talkie. My father asked my mother to open the cave entrance. I instructed my wife to immediately turn off all the lights, and then lead everyone to retreat to the depths of the cave, which is our last line of defense. After sealing the door, I told them not to open it no matter what happens outside. The signal in the cave was extremely weak. Just before the communication cut off, I heard my wife's trembling voice saying, "You must come back alive. We are waiting for you." Then all I could hear from the walkie-talkie was the noisy static. I took a deep breath and headed straight for the outer wall, carrying a basket full of spears. Outside the wall, the corpses of zombies have piled up like mountains. The remaining zombies are stepping on their companions' bodies in an attempt to climb over the wall. I patrol back and forth with a spear. If I spot a zombie about to climb over the wall, I won't hesitate to throw the spear in my hand, as one zombie after another was stabbed by the spear and fell to the ground. The crisis at the outer wall was temporarily brought under control, and my father set up a drone on the open ground, with a mobile phone attached to its body beforehand. This is the old phone that was replaced by my father. Out of nostalgia, he still keeps it as a collection. This off-brand phone may look ordinary, but it has an incredibly loud volume that can almost deafen you. Father silently prayed for our defense plan to work. Then he firmly pressed the play button on his phone. In the next moment, loud music blared like thunder. Surprisingly, it was a cheerful and noisy song. Amid the deafening music, I controlled a drone to urgently ascend and swiftly fly towards a distant forest. The zombies outside the wall viciously raised their heads in unison. Obviously, having heard the commotion above, they chased after the drone into the woods and ended up at the edge of a large pit that had been dug beforehand. The infected electrician was lying all alone at the bottom of the pit, emitting a weak, pitiful cry. I took a glance at the electrician through the drone's camera and let out a soft sigh. When the time was right, I immediately controlled the drone to crash straight into the bottom of the pit. As the screen showed a violent distortion, the signal of the first drone was completely lost. However, in the distance, faint merry music from random mobile phones could still be heard coming from the woods. I then launched the second drone and used its footage to observe the situation ahead. I saw the first drone had crashed at the bottom of a pit, with its body flashing purple sparks continuously. A horde of zombies chased the sound of a cell phone into a deep pit and then got pinned by steel rods at the bottom of the pit. Some zombies are pierced through the head but still struggling vigorously, as if they have no sense of pain. I suddenly feel a chill down my spine. This group of zombies can't be killed even when their heads are injured, and they are fast, relentless, and bloodthirsty. I can't help but worry, with the virus spreading faster and faster. Is there really still hope for humanity to triumph? As I was staring blankly at the drone footage, my father's voice snapped me out of it, telling me not to get distracted. The crisis is not over yet, he said. First make sure we survive, then we can think about other issues. I just came to my senses and followed my father to the side of the farm near the forest. I wielded a knife and cut the ropes tied to the tree. This is a simple device designed by my father, with one end of the rope connected to a barrel of gasoline hanging from a tree, and the gasoline directly above a deep pit in the woods. Right now, the pitch-black gasoline is pouring down like a waterfall. In a blink of an eye, filling up the pit, the zombies in the pit seem to realize that a disaster is imminent, struggling more fiercely, but it was all too late. The sparks from the crashed drone ignited the gasoline in an instant, and a towering flame suddenly burst into the night sky, almost coloring half of the sky red. The gasoline mixed with decaying zombie bodies has become an excellent accelerant. Amidst the deafening screams of the zombie horde, roaring flames engulfed the entire pit. Even in the direction of the farm, you could still feel a hint of scorching heat. In the glow of the fire, my father and I climbed up the fence, cautiously checking for bodies outside the wall. If we spotted any zombies still lingering, we would strike them from a high spot with a long spear. We lost count of how many times we vomited that night, only to stagger back up the stairs and repeat the same actions. Remember, under the apocalypse, there is no room for such fragility and cowardice. By daybreak, the remaining zombies in the corner were finally cleared out. The large fire in the distant forest burned all night until it gradually went out at daybreak. Even if God were to intervene, there would be no way to revive these charred monsters. After completing the simple disinfection and cleaning work, my father and I helped each other back to the inner courtyard wall. Following a nightmarish night, our strength was already near exhaustion. The walkie-talkie signal slightly improved at this moment. I managed to tell my wife I was safe before falling asleep on the sofa. As I drifted off, I cursed inwardly as I looked at the remaining turkey on the coffee table. Thanksgiving was ruined by these darn zombies at the last minute. When I opened my eyes again, the sun was setting outside. I had actually slept for a whole day. While I was sleeping soundly, my family had carried me into the room, which was decorated very warmly. The alarm clock on the bedside was ticking away. For a moment, I almost forgot that it was the world after the doomsday outbreak. I didn't snap back to reality until I saw the tall wall outside the window. I dragged my weary body out of bed and walked into the living room, only to find everyone gathered there with serious expressions on their faces. My wife waved at me to sit down and rest when she saw me approaching. Seeing my puzzled expression, she glanced at her father and then solemnly told me. The radio station in the village at the foot of the mountain suddenly broadcasted a message this morning. The message roughly said, "We are survivors from the village, and we are now calling out to the farm. We know you have stockpiled a large amount of supplies in the mountains. We urgently need medicine, including bandages, disinfectants, and antibiotics. We hope you can cooperate. Otherwise, more zombie hordes will arrive in the future. This is not a threat. We just want to survive. Please consider this carefully." The broadcast was very short, only played 3 times, but enough for us to hear clearly. According to my father, on the third play, the sound was interrupted by a loud, unpleasant roar. It seemed to have attracted the zombies. I listened quietly, feeling helpless all of a sudden. The apocalypse has just happened not long ago, and the survivors have already started to be wary and suspicious of each other. This also applies to us. Let's not blame each other. Not to mention they are risking being found by zombies to broadcast. They are most likely already desperate, and once they are completely desperate and decide to take us down with them at all costs, it's clear that the current defense capability of the farm won't survive the next wave of zombie attacks. Thinking about this, I glanced at my pale-faced wife and my silent daughter with her head down. I sighed softly, then struggled to stand up. I've decided to agree to their request. Tonight, we'll sort out the supplies we have on hand, pack some of it, and I'll personally take it down the mountain tomorrow morning to ensure the safety of the farm. It seems like I have to risk it all.